Okay. Let's try that again. So, I know I told you I was going to put some Luxardo in there, but I changed my mind. And I put some Chambord in there. Not bad at all. Raspberry, and there's a little bit of flavor from that cherry in there. But right before I went on the air, I damn near choked on it. I think there's still some here. Look, I have these old gloves that got holes in the fingers and everything. All right. Welcome back from intermission, kids. It's part 2 of our Edwige Fenech double feature. Featuring, look at that poster. I don't know if this is an original poster, but it's awesome. This thing here was quite popular in the 60s and 70s. But again, I say, look at that title. What the hell? I watched an interview with Sergio Martino, and he kept referring to the movie as Your Vice. Because you're not going to say all that. Sergio Martino presents Edwige Fenech, Anita Strindberg, Luigi Pistilli, and I'm sure there are many more, but that's what's on the poster, okay? And I'm keeping this one too. So I won't thrash it halfway across the room. Okay. Let's have some more raspberry wine. I want to see the Italian name now. Your Vice is a locked room, and only I have the key. See, I said door. I mean, seriously. And I'll correct something else from the last episode. I'm not sure which movie, because I watched one Friday night and one Saturday night. I'm recording now for Friday. 1972 Daria Films SRL. Director Sergio Martino. And we've already covered at least 3 of the actors in the show. Now, here we go. I think there was another one in between this, but from the team that brought us The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, we have this little story of murder and double crossing. It all revolves around, here we go. This might be accurate though. A sadistic prick of an alcoholic writer. You've all met this guy, right? And his, I'm not going to say masochistic, I'm going to say long-suffering wife. I know, you get what you put up with, but it seems the more brutality he throws down upon her, the more she relishes the drama. Yeah, there was no Kardashians to watch back then. You had to have drama in your own life. Anyway, this is like some couples I really know. And I just want to throw out the caveat: women's lib, equal rights. I'm all for that. But I now know as many men who are in an abusive relationship with a horrible woman as I do women who are in an abusive relationship with horrible men. So, yeah, equal rights has come around and made it so anyone can be a fucker and anyone can be a victim. Anyway, let's get on with the show. When the jerk's bookstore mistress gets her throat slit, things really start to come undone. Next, the maid is murdered. Now, I know. Just like Hollywood, the killer can't just go around town killing random strangers, which is what happens in real life. But that doesn't make a very good movie if you're just reading about it on the news. So it has to get personal. And oftentimes, the main character just becomes an obsession. Or, here's the Hollywood version: the killer comes after the cop's family. It seems to work every time. For audiences, anyway. Maybe not so much for critics. Some of us might like to see something more realistic. But it's 1972. I was 7. So next, the maid is murdered. And the more confused and unsure of himself our jerk-ass writer gets, the more he lashes out at his wife. That's right. Insecurity causes abuse. Imagine that. He decides he cannot let the police know about the maid. I don't know why. And they hide her body in the wine cellar. So, let me think about this. Me, Murph. I moved from Florida, where I lived in a trailer, to Murray, Utah, where I live in the basement. Now, there's a killer in town, and he's already killed one person, and then he killed my maid. Because I have a maid working at the gas station and everything. But I don't want to call the cops. They might shoot Charlie. So I hide her. I don't have a cellar. I hide her in the basement, but outside my room. Maybe here in the studio. She's right there under that shelf. The maid. Maybe my mom had a maid. I don't think my mom had a maid. I think my mom was her own maid. Yeah, that's right. I'm living in the house I grew up in. Well, anyway, I keep getting off track here. It's this wine. I don't know if there's any finer buzz than a wine buzz. So, the body's in the cellar. Then out of the blue, the alcoholic writer's niece shows up, played by Finnesh. She comes to visit, and she is no longer a little girl. She is 20 with, well, you've seen her. Look at her. Yeah. I wrote, she's 20 now with tatas out to here. I am a film critic, you know. Well, she also seems to have some not so wholesome motives. And I would also note that she has kind of a cute little bob, not the usual flowing finesse hair. Seducing both husband and wife. That's right, her uncle and her aunt-in-law. Not to mention the grocery boy. She manipulates them, turning them against each other and eventually convincing the wife that he is going to kill her. Around that time, the police think they have their killer. The wife comes completely unglued. She stabs the cat in the eye. I need to watch this again. Did I make this shit up or did this actually happen in the movie? So the cat's been her nemesis throughout the movie. Sorry I didn't mention that, but it's a cat. So she stabs the cat. But the cat lives on and continues to be her nemesis until the bitter end. And that's all I'm going to give away. I will tell you that the cat wasn't the killer, okay? Sorry to throw that spoiler out there, but the cat wasn't the killer. Okay. I wrote, this one's pretty good. Well, it was more than pretty good. Maybe a little melodramatic, but well written, well acted, etc. Very good for the budget. These movies weren't like, bankrolled by Fox or anything. We do have the very typical bad effects of the era, including the Day-Glo blood. It's about this color. I mean, maybe blood's about that color in there. But no, the blood in these movies is this color. We talked about that last week with Sam Peckinpah. He was the only guy who cared that blood was kind of more brown and turned brown after it dries. Altogether, we have a film that's nearly as good as Mrs. Ward. Now, I wrote, what's with the title? Even Sergio didn't say the whole title in interviews later. Now, at the time, he didn't think this was his best picture. And maybe it wasn't his best picture. I recently watched All the Colors of the Dark, and let me tell you. But this was a good picture. And it got more notoriety as time went on, and he had to deal with it. And he had to deal with that title, Your Vice. We're done with that. Ow. Let's do it my mom's way. Here we go. 3. It's a 3-ring circus tonight on the Late Night Picture Show, Part 2. Edwige Fenech. Your vice is a locked room and only I have the key. And I'm not going to say that again. that out of the way. Who do we have here? Did you notice something? When I set my drink down, I got a coaster. Because, yeah, it's summer and my drink's sweating. Monkey smoked a blunt, and he's gonna pick a movie for you. Just kidding. Not about the movie. I've watched a bunch of movies lately. Psychomania, All the Colors of the Dark, that Red Queen one. There was another one too that I think was actually the Sergio Martino movie. They're not in here yet, but they're written up and ready to go in here. Just got to match them up with another movie. Oh, look at that. I almost picked one itself. That wouldn't be fair to Monkey, would it? Let's just throw them all over the place, Murph. Okay. Hey, look at this. Now, for those of you who don't know, I worked for 28 years in the circus. Just to be put out of work. Declining ticket sales. And PETA protesters. Don't get me started about PETA. You won't like what I have to say. Maybe you will. Maybe you're all sick of that bullshit. I love animals just as much as the next guy. And I love to being around animals. Now I got a chihuahua upstairs. I think he's sleeping on my bed right now. Doesn't do a lick of work. We're going to the circus next week, kids. Circus of Fear and Vampire Circus. Next week on the Late Night Picture Show. Now, how about giving me a thumbs up? Or a thumbs down? Subscribe. I got all the way up to 87. And then dropped back down to 84. What the hell's wrong with you people? I work very hard making these drinks and babbling on from reviews that I wrote 10, 12 years ago when I was on the road with the circus. You should be subscribed. All right, fine. So, a special circus double feature next week on the Late Night Picture Show. Good night, kids.